A 12-year-old girl gave her Roblox login to the boy she had a crush on at school. He sold it on a Discord server for 50 Robux. 12 hours later, a stranger was at her front door. Zoe was 12 and quiet. She had been quiet for a very long time, even at home. She had a crush on a popular boy in her 6th grade class named Ben. Ben was loud and confident, the kind of boy who never noticed Zoe at all. He noticed her on a Wednesday in October, the day everything in her life would change. He sat down right next to her at lunch and gave her a slow, easy smile. He told her he was working on a small school project for one of his classes. He said he needed her Roblox login for an hour just to test something for class. Zoe had been waiting 9 full months for Ben to even sit next to her at lunch. She gave him her username without a second thought. She gave him her password right after. She did not think about her real name being attached to the account as her display name. She did not think about her school city being right there in her registration data. She did not think about her parents' email addresses sitting in the recovery section. She was thinking about Ben's smile and the way her stomach felt when he finally said thanks. That was the first mistake of the day, and it was nowhere near the worst one. Ben did not actually have a school project. Ben did not need to test anything for any class. He had heard from another boy in another grade about a private Discord server. The server bought and sold Roblox accounts, and certain accounts paid much better than others. Accounts with real names attached, accounts with home cities listed, accounts with parent email addresses. Ben sold Zoe's login that same night for exactly 50 Robux and no questions. He laughed about it in a group chat with his friends. He typed the words easy and stupid. He never thought about Zoe again for the rest of the entire afternoon. The buyer was a 43-year-old man who lived 200 miles away from Zoe's school. He had been buying accounts on that same Discord server every single week for almost a year. He always did exactly the same thing the moment he received a new login. He logged into the account, he pulled the registration data, he cross-referenced everything against public records. It took him about 40 minutes to find the home address of the girl who owned the account. He wrote it down in a small yellow notepad. He circled the address twice with a black pen. What he did over the next 11 hours was the part nobody at Zoe's school understood. It was not anything dramatic or complicated. It was just patient, careful, and entirely deliberate. He got into his car at 6 o'clock the next morning, before the sun had come up. He drove for almost 6 straight hours, stopping only twice along the way. Once for gas, once for coffee. He arrived in Zoe's neighborhood by 3 in the afternoon. He parked his car 4 full blocks from her house, and then he simply waited. Zoe's parents were celebrating an anniversary at a restaurant downtown that very same evening. They had told Zoe 2 weeks earlier that she was old enough to be home alone for a few hours. She had been excited about it for days. She had planned a movie night with her best friend. She had bought popcorn and 2 cans of soda and a bag of chocolate she liked. The thing she had never planned for was the part where her best friend canceled at the last minute. So at 7 o'clock that evening, Zoe was alone in a quiet house with the television playing softly. She did not know that a strange man had been sitting in his car nearby for 4 hours. She did not know that he had walked past her house twice that afternoon to look at it. She did not know her Roblox account had been logged in from another city 11 hours ago. She was watching a movie. She was 12 years old, she was happy and felt completely safe. At 8:47 that evening, she suddenly heard the very first knock at the front door. It was not a normal knock. It was 3 slow taps, evenly spaced, like someone being careful. Zoe paused the movie immediately. She did not move from the couch for several long seconds. The knocking came again a moment later, the same 3 taps, the same careful, even spacing. Zoe stood up and walked to the front door very quietly. She looked through the small peephole. There was a man standing on her porch she had never seen even once in her entire life. He was holding a small package wrapped in brown paper. He was looking right at the peephole. He was smiling at her without ever having seen her face. He was smiling like he already knew. What Zoe did in the next 90 seconds was the only reason this story has the ending it has. Zoe did not open the door. She did not call out to ask the man on her porch who he was. She did not turn on the porch light. She did not turn off the television in the living room. She did not move quickly enough to make any sound the man could possibly hear from the porch. She walked very slowly back to the couch where she had left her phone resting on a cushion. She picked up her phone and walked upstairs. And then she locked herself in the bathroom. She dialed 911 with shaking hands. She did not say anything until the operator asked. The operator asked Zoe in a calm, steady voice if she was safe at her current location. Zoe whispered her full home address. Then she whispered that there was a man at her front door. Then she whispered that her parents were not home and that she was completely alone tonight. The operator told Zoe to stay on the line and not hang up under any circumstances. The operator told Zoe that police officers were already heading toward her house right now. The first police car arrived at the front of the house in exactly 4 minutes. The man was still standing on the porch. He had knocked 7 more times during those 4 minutes. He had a small black backpack on the ground next to his right foot the entire time. The backpack contained a heavy roll of duct tape and a printout of Zoe's Roblox profile page. It also contained a list of 3 other addresses written in the same yellow notepad. Zoe's address was the very first name circled at the top of the entire handwritten list. The man was arrested on Zoe's porch while her popcorn was still warm in the bowl inside. What the police told Zoe's parents that night was that their daughter had done one thing right. She had not opened the door. That single decision was the only thing that had mattered all day. This is the part of the story that, if you are watching this, you should hear twice. There was a boy at Zoe's school named Ben. Ben sold Zoe's login for 50 Robux. Ben did not drive a car. Ben did not own duct tape. Ben did not write addresses in notepads. Ben thought he was just selling a password to a stranger online for 50 cheap Robux. He was 12 years old. He genuinely did not understand what he had actually sold that day. He had not sold a password. He had sold a real name connected to a real 12-year-old girl. He had sold a city. He had sold the email accounts of 2 parents who trusted their school. He had sold the fact that there was a girl who lived at a real address with predictable habits. Ben was suspended from school for the rest of the semester. His parents were sued by Zoe's family. Ben spent the next year sitting in a counselor's office trying to explain what he had done. Ben did not actually know what he had done. That was the worst part of the entire situation. The man who knocked on Zoe's door knew exactly what he was buying when he paid 50 Robux. He had bought it before. He would have bought it again. He had a list of 3 more names. The hardest part of this story to understand is not the man with the backpack on the porch. The hardest part of this story is the boy who never realized what 50 Robux had actually paid for. Zoe is fine now. She is in 7th grade and doing well in school again. She does not really play Roblox anymore. When she does, her account has no real information on it. If you are watching this, here is what Zoe and Ben both learned the hard way that night. Your Roblox login is not just a password. It is everything else attached to your account too. Your real name, your home city, your parents' emails, the hours you usually log in to play, the friends you usually play with, the places online where you have left a small piece of yourself. Anyone who has your login has all of those small pieces in one easy place to read, even if that person looks like a normal kid from your math class who smiled at you nicely. Your password belongs only to you. You do not give it to anyone, ever, for any reason at all. Not a friend, not a crush, not a teacher, not a stranger online who promises you something fun. Especially not because somebody smiled at you at lunch and asked very politely with the word please. If somebody asks you for your login, the answer is no. There is no second answer to that question. There is no good reason any other real person needs to log into your personal account. Real friends do not need your password to test anything. Real teachers never need it for any reason. If you have ever given out your login before, change your password tonight before you go to bed. Tell a parent what happened, even if you are scared they will be upset with you. It is never too late to change a password and ask an adult you trust for some help. The man who knocked on Zoe's door was caught because she did exactly one thing right that night. She did not open the door. The second thing she did right came the very next morning. She told her parents the entire truth. About Ben, about the login, about the crush at school. She was 12 and she was scared, and she still told them every single thing that had happened. That second part was the thing that kept her safe every single day after that one. If you liked this story, drop a like and subscribe for more.